It's nice to have you here. It's nice to talk with you. Thank you for this opportunity to have you here.
My Instagram was just inundated with people going, don't kill, Ezekiel, don't kill, and you're just like, I'm not in charge of that.
I made a lot of videos, make theories about who Sebastian is gonna kill. How was your reaction when you first found out about you will get killed? Do you believe that there may be a spin-off or an episode of Tales of the Walking Dead or something like that that can address more of the story of the Commonwealth?
I think there, could be some interesting ties, especially with where Rick has been and other communities.
Fala, povo bonito que assiste esse canal lindo chamado A Gente Faz Agora, tudo bom com você que tá assistindo? Então eu tô bem demais, espero que você também esteja. Eu sou o João Victor, pra você que não conhece, e hoje eu tô de volta pra trazer mais um vídeo pra vocês sobre The Walking Dead, porque hoje é a primeiríssima entrevista aqui do canal com um dos atores de The Walking Dead, um dos atores da última temporada da série. Como você deve ter visto aí pelo título, o ator do Sebastian, que acabou não tendo uma participação muito longa na série, né, o Rapp-Olsson, mas que sim, contou muita curiosidade muito interessante que ninguém sabia sobre a série, contou coisas de bastidores, contou se existe a possibilidade ou não de ter alguma outra produção explicando sobre Commonwealth. E o que você vai ver aqui é uma conversa raiz sobre The Walking Dead mesmo, com um cara incrível, que proporcionou pra gente uma conversa mesmo, não uma entrevista engessada, não. É literalmente como se fosse um mini podcast. Se você que gosta de The Walking Dead, aproveita aí que tá muito louco. Já quero pedir muito mesmo, antes de começar isso aqui, já clica aí no like, é muito importante pra ajudar na divulgação e tudo mais disso aqui. Se inscreve no canal pra você não perder nada que tá vindo, vamos continuar cobrindo muito sobre as séries aí do universo. E se possível, tentar novas entrevistas também. E claro, se quer garantir sua camiseta da série, ou se quer garantir sua caixa com impressão 3D, de miniaturas e tudo mais, o link tá embaixo na descrição, corre lá pra pegar, mas bora direto pra essa entrevista, vamos lá! It's nice to have you here. It's nice to talk with you. Thank you for this opportunity to have you here. We are here with Theo Rapp. How can I say better? It's Theo or Theo?
Teo, but it's a weird name, so any variation, I probably know you're talking about me.
Okay, let's go. I prepared some questions for you. First of all, I like to congratulate you for amazing acting on the show, amazing job.
Oh, thank you.
I said to you months ago that I think your Sebastian is better from the Sebastian to the comics, but they killed you.
I mean, I'll take that praise. That is high praise, because obviously they're big shoes to fill coming into the show. When you already have a comic book character that you're portraying, and one that obviously a lot of fans already have a lot of strong opinions about.
So let's go. I prepare some questions. Let's go to the first one. I like to ask you about the last episode, because it was crazy. It was, oh my god.
Yeah.
A lot of things happening, a huge episode. And I like to ask you, what did you think about the last episode? How do you feel about it and everything?
Yeah, well, so I would start by saying that I think in general, if you watch, some of my favorite TV shows, the last episode is a very difficult one. I always say it's like landing the plane, And some shows, even for 5 years that have been on, that's, 5 years of landing that plane is very difficult. You take The Walking Dead, that's 12 years, 11 seasons, one of the biggest shows in the history of television. The stakes, I can't imagine could be any higher. And I won't name other shows, but I've seen plenty of shows that I really did not like the final episode. So I was genuinely very impressed by it. And something I made a choice when my character got killed off, which I hope is not a spoiler for anybody, but when Sebastian died, I didn't want to read any more scripts. I wanted to just watch it like everybody else and kind of just take it in. Because at the point that I leave in whatever episode, I'm sitting there thinking I don't know how you wrap this all up. There's so many moving pieces still in play. And I honestly thought that the way that they brought it together did a great job at giving everybody, their culmination, their reward, but still leaving it open for all these spinoffs. And I needed one more character to die. The show is known for nobody is safe, right? And so when Christian jumps over the walkers, I was like, all right, it was cool, it was so badass, but somebody needs to die. So when they had that moment with Eugene and her, I was just like, that for me is what sealed it. I thought both of them were phenomenal performances in the last episode. And of course, I always got to give a shout out to my mom on the show, Lila Robbins. I thought she was amazing finishing off that. But yeah, I don't know. I think, especially like, I mean, if you've read the comics, it takes a lot of, it goes down a very different path. But I think it does a good job at nodding at the right things. The last shot being of the kids, I think is a great way to kind of let us know, like, there is a future here. And like, we're now witnessing what the world is going to look like post, having to. We have more. We've truly created, hopefully, the beginning of a true settlement where we can now live out in peace, where zombies can be less and less of a primary concern. And well, I think the ultimate fight that these people have ever been going for is the struggle to return to normality, to return to what was before. And what we're seeing is, 3 kids standing on the top of the wall. It could be, a pier, just looking out at the horizon. There's something that just feels very wholesome and normal about that, and kind of leaves you with this sense of like, maybe there's hope here.
Yeah, I really remember the reaction of the crowd on the last episode, the event. And when the Rick shows up, no, first of all, about the Rosita. Everyone is crying around me.
Oh my God.
And when Rick showed up, everyone's screaming, oh my God.
Oh, it was epic. It was amazing. I mean, it was so cool. And obviously, I think everybody from the beginning was like, if they don't finish without giving us any Rick, I mean, we're all going to be upset. And so to give us this little piece and to know, that we have this miniseries to look forward to know, we see Daryl off into the distance. There is something that I think they struck a very good balance, which is difficult to do, between ending a story, but also leaving us with these breadcrumbs of the next stories to happen, which I for me personally, I thought it was fantastic. I really did. And I approached this universe, was lucky enough to be a part of it, but somebody that is genuinely a fan of a lot of this material, and it's been really cool to watch it with both sets of lenses on.
Good to know about that, because I talked with a lot of people who worked for the show or anything that do not watch the show, just work. Yeah. And good to know that you watch and everything.
Yeah, dude. I can tell you where I was when I watched the very first episode. I was like in my college apartment, and a friend had come over, and they were like, dude, you got to watch this episode of this new TV show. It's incredible. It's just such a kick-ass show. And I mean, the pilot is still one of my favorite first episodes of a television show, period, ever. I mean, just even the first moment with the little girl and Rick. And it instantly lets you know, like, this show, truly nobody's going to be safe. Like, morality is going to have to go out the window. You have to make choices for self-preservation rather than because you feel like it's right or wrong.
Yeah, I told about that in a recent video. Is in the first season, they made something different from the other zombie shows or apocalypse shows. That they gave us like a hope for the cure, and when they show CDC and they blow everything. Yeah, they reset everything. So let's go to the next question that I have for you. I like to ask you about the change of the destiny of your character. They changed the destiny of your character based on the comics, and I think it was shocking for you. It was shocking for the audience. What do you think about that? What do you think of this change? Do you believe your character could last longer, or it's okay?
So I'm going to answer this in like kind of 2 parts, because there's one which is, as the actor, you're always selfish. Of course, I would say, I should have been there to 24. I think, I could have been the last bad guy or whatever, all that. Of course, I was sad to say goodbye to all this. But as I, was reading into the death, and especially with all the stuff with the zombie, and realizing also a lot of my character's actions is what helped spur the final 4 episodes. So a lot of, the uprising in the Commonwealth you can tie it directly back to Sebastian. And realizing there's so much injustice in this society. In that part, I really, as an actor, couldn't feel more grateful for the role I got to play in this, and the story that I got to have in the arc. The thing that I also, realized pretty early on is something that I personally have loved about The Walking Dead is, from a very early point, it made a statement of saying we're not going to be the exact same as the comic books. So if you've read the comic books, Sophia survives in the comics. the
We
whole
don't
way
have
through.
Darrow.
Yep, don't have Daryl. Carol dies really early on. There's things that happen in the prison that do not happen there. So there's tons of these kind of moments that they really go out of their way to. I mean, even with Glenn's death, we first give us a fake off with Abram and then do the real death from the comics. But there's these kind of moments where they're kind of toying with the expectations. And I do think that this was kind of a prime moment for the show to say, we know what you were expecting, and we're gonna always keep you on your toes for that reason. Because the second I got on the show, my Instagram was just inundated with people going, don't kill, Ezekiel, don't kill, and you're just like, I'm not in charge of that.
I made a lot of videos, make theories about who Sebastian is gonna kill. We don't have Rick, but who is gonna kill?
Oh, believe me, dude, I was sitting in my own apartment in Georgia having the same theories, like, all right, who could it be? Who would be a good person to kill? So that was the exact same on my end.
Good to know. And I like to ask about a behind the scenes thing. How was your reaction when you first found out about you will get killed? You are going to get killed.
So basically, the first people to get the next scripts, obviously past the the writers, your executive producers, is normally a lot of the crew. So maybe your makeup departments, your costume departments, because they have to know what it is they need to prepare for. So obviously costume, 100 costumes for zombies this week. I need to know that. So I, have gotten to know all these people through my time there. I was talking to one of them and he was like, hey man, I just read 1118, like some crazy stuff happens to you. And I was like, oh, awesome. He's like, you want to read it early? And I was like, yeah, sure. Come on. Yeah, that'd be awesome. So I got it that way. And normally Angela Kang, the executive producer, is amazing about calling the actors to be like, hey, just a heads up before you read this, you're going to die. That didn't happen because I went out of my way to get the script early. But Angela did call me like a day or two later, like apologizing. I was like, I'm so sorry. And I was like, no, that's my fault. I was the one who found an access to the script.
Yeah. She's amazing. I like to say, because I have the opportunity to talk with her so fast in the event, and she got me an autograph, and she was so nice.
Amazing. No, she's one of the nicest human beings. I don't always get the opportunity to get to work so closely with the executive producers, let alone
the crew and cast and the Walking Dead. It's like a family.
And you see that it extends from like cast, crew, even to the fans. I mean, to the people in Sonoya. I mean, Josh McDermott, who plays Eugene, we did the first table read, but it's all on Zoom because obviously COVID. I haven't met any of these guys yet. And the second we finish the table read, my phone buzzes and it's Josh. And he's texted me to just be like, hey, welcome to the family. This is my number. If you need anything, don't hesitate to reach out.
Oh, okay. So he was your first contact in the cast, the first person who made the reception for you.
Yeah. Josh, for sure. I think, a lot of people are sitting on Eugene, man. I think he's a good character. I think Josh has played him well. And as I was reading through the comics, I couldn't not read Eugene with Josh's voice. Like in every scene, I'm sitting there reading, going like, all right, we got to get out of here, Rosita. And I'm just like, what the hell am I doing? This is so weird. And the lines that he has to say are weird. Like, I mean, those are not normal English, lines to be like, it is a predicament and a quandary for me to have to go through this situation with some of my greatest compadres. You're like, that's not how humans speak.
You don't take a breath.
No, exactly. I'm just like, man, that's some acting chops, man.
Good to know. Oh, so right now, I like to talk with you about the background of the Commonwealth, because one of the things that I felt watching the show, watching the Commonwealth arc, is I feel I missed some more details about the Commonwealth background. And I'd like to ask you, do you believe that there may be a spin-off or an episode of Tales of the Walking Dead or something like that can address more of the story of the Commonwealth, such as its origin?
So what I can say right now is, I mean, in full honesty, I'm not aware of anything currently in the works on exactly that subject. Obviously, if somebody wanted to go down that rabbit hole, I would be more than game for it. It's something that I've theorized about. I definitely think because, I mean, at the end of the day, this is the largest human settlement we've ever seen in this show.
Yeah.
This is like whatever, 50,000 people. I mean, you look at like Alexandria, that's several hundred people. And I think there's also something very interesting about the morality of this place because, people would, I remember talking to somebody early on and they're like, how can you justify a place that's so awful to its citizens? And I was saying, all right, but when was the last time some of these citizens ever had to worry about a zombie? And when was the last time anybody in this universe could say that? Yeah, but I mean, I would love to see more get, explored into that. And obviously, I think there, could be some interesting ties, especially with where Rick has been and other communities, because there's totally a world where, since the point that Rick is gone and before we've met the Commonwealth, there's not a reason that we should know of that those two paths haven't crossed.
Commonwealth is too big, like for the CRM don't know about them.
Yeah, exactly. No, so I mean, I could totally see the two of them have like some kind of working relationship.
And like the armors of the troopers, everyone can see the troopers in the land.
Oh, exactly. That's the thing is that they're past the point of, just trying to survive in their own space. And even if you take it to the end, I mean, trying to reinstate the railway system, which is something they pulled directly from the comics, but it's such an ambitious move. It's a move to hopefully reclaim larger territories than even what you can control with a wall. All of a sudden, we can have safe travel back and forth, large swaths of the country. That's next level.
Yeah, they ended that show by not telling who is this alliance. I think in your last episode, episode 18, Lance Hornsby said to Pamela Milton that she needs him for some alliances and some stabilizing factors or something like that. And they never told us about this.
No, there's definitely some pieces that feel like there's still stuff to be mined there. There's still more we can learn.
So let's go. I'd like to ask you about another point, especially for your last episode, because on the Sebastian last episode, we have a very important talk with Max, and he said about his brother. That's the only time he mentioned this brother. Did you ever receive more information about Sebastian's brother and father? And what do you think these people were like? And what do you think happened to them?
No, we did not receive any more information from, writers, executive producers. And I think that's kind of a cool gift because there's a lot of trust to the actors in terms of like, what do you want to do with that information? What does that inform for you? So the only other person that I really talked about that was Pamela Milton. And yeah, I was putting all of her names together. So we had some chats and sit downs about those kind of things. And kind of where I landed was that my brother was probably the older one, was probably a lot more like my father. And I think what my father was like was, I mean, your typical like, alpha male, like a strong, assertive guy, but maybe to the point where you have a little over the spectrum of manliness, some problematic behavior. We don't show emotions, all that kind of stuff. And so my guess is that father and brother died while we were still in the early stages, or even before the Commonwealth even came into existence, when we were still out in the land, when I was like a young child.
Okay. For the next question, I like to ask you about a curiosity thing about what you can say. You have some history or something about your filming days, some story on the set that you would like to tell us?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there are just so many times that were, insanely fun where we're just kind of, I remember like the banquet scene. So that's when the trooper who's been, relegated to working as a server grabs Max and puts the knife to her neck. That all, amounts to whatever, maybe like 5 minutes of footage. It took us like 2 days to shoot. And so, yeah, so I mean, it's because it's just so many people in one space, and especially with COVID protocols, everybody has masks on until the very last second. We're doing that sequence in and out like 400,000 times. I think on my last take, I have that, like, I scream at Merce. I'm like, go after him. And finish it. And I remember thinking to myself, like, that was good. That was a good one, Teo. That was good job. And I look over and Michael Mercer he's like kind of laughing. And I was like, what's up? And he's like, did you say her? And I was like, what? And he's like, you said her on that take. You didn't say go after him. You said go after her. And I was like, and then like Josh Hornsby comes up and he's like, you definitely said her. And for the rest of that time, I was just trying to make Michael James Shaw laugh, which was a big thing I would do on set constantly, is try to make him laugh. So the very first time I ever met him, we're doing like the scene where like Kayla, my girlfriend, and I are like going to, and I've said no more than like 3 words to this guy. It's like, hey, I'm Teo, I'm Michael. We're walking along this pathway, and he's in front of me, and we're repeating this like 7-8 times. And if you know anything about the armor that he's wearing, he has a butt plate, a plate on his posterior, and this thing is bouncing. And so after some take, I was just like, damn, man, I hate to see you go, but I love to watch you leave. And he just burst out laughing. And that was when I was like, okay, I think I'm gonna have a good time with this guy. Oh, the other thing I will add, because it ended up being funny at the time. It was not funny. I was terrified. But was the night that I met Norman Reedus for the first time, which is actually right before the banquet, when I walk up into the banquet and there's this little moment where I just adjust his collar as I'm going up the steps to enter the banquet. It's the first time I've met him. I just came back for the first time to set. It's the first thing I'm shooting in the episode. And the reason that I'm adjusting his collar is because earlier in the story, we do my advanced military training. He saves me from a zombie. We haven't shot it yet, so we don't have that experience together. This is our first time interacting. This is such a quick moment in the script. It's not even fixes his collar. It says something like Sebastian gives him a knowing smile as he walks by. We do the first take of it, and the director, this like lovely British guy, John Emile, comes up and he's like, that was so good, but like really piss off Norm. Like, I want you to really piss him off. And so I think the next one, I like, give him a smack on the shoulder. And he's like, no, more, like really piss him off. And I'm doing more and more, but I haven't actually really said anything to Norman Reedus yet. This may just be a testament to his really good acting, but it felt like he was getting madder and madder at me. Like this random kid who has never met coming up to like, by the end of it, I mean, he did not look happy. And I remember just being like, oh, please don't hurt me. Please don't hurt me. And like, luckily it was during this advanced military training that he had said to Michael something like, man, this kid plays asshole really well. Which is where I was like, okay, I think we're good.
Yeah, I understand, because as you said, in your college, you was watching him, and now you are fixing him.
Oh yeah, and my job as the actor is to piss him off, is to annoy him. That's what I'm here to do.
Okay, I'd like to ask you other thing that I remember right now. It's about the story of the show, because there's a point in the end of the show that they don't explain everything. They don't explain like what Lance Hornsby did to Oceanside. You remember about it?
Yeah.
And I'd like to ask you, what do you think? What do you think that Hornsby did to Oceanside? Because people on my channel keep asking me every time, and I like to have your opinion.
That's good. I hadn't put a lot of thought to it, because like, I mean, in the sequence, doesn't he just like come in there with the military force and kind of just like put it under martial law? Like, I mean, he takes it over.
I mean, do you remember in episode 16 when he split the coin to decide if he's going to kill? What do you think? They didn't show us what happened. What do you think?
I think they're goners. I mean, yeah, I think because that's also just a great moment where we realize like, oh, Hornsby has got some power, that we didn't even really expect. And I think that works best when we realize that he, has just executed in cold blood these people, and they will stop at nothing to create law and order. And I think that's probably what, ended up happening to Oceanside.
Okay. I like to ask one last thing about the story of the show, and we are going to the last question. I'd like to ask you about Rick and Michonne, because it's the most important thing of the last episode. The Rick and Michonne and the spin-offs. First of all, you are going to watch the spin-offs, and which one is the most expected for you?
So Rick and Michonne I think is the only one that's actually just a mini series. So I mean, because like Negan, Maggie, and the Daryl show, both are open ended. I mean, they could be many seasons long. Rick and Michonne is most likely a mini series. I think it's supposed to be 6 episodes. I'm very excited about that. I do in general love miniseries. I just think that creating a contained story in what amounts to, whatever 6 hours of television is going to create like 6 episodes in which every one of them is full of so much detail, because there's so much we want to catch up on as the fans. And we also want to have our proper goodbye for Rick. I mean, we want to close that chapter. We don't want to leave him, flying off in a helicopter. We want to know what's happened to him. So I am personally probably most excited for that. I just think that's going to be really, really cool. I was talking with Norm about shooting in France. It sounds like it's a really, really cool concept. He's already been really jazzed about a lot of the scripts. Greg Nicotero there. I mean, you still have a lot of like the old guard working on it too. So I think it's going to have a lot of that feeling. I have to say though, I'm a New Yorker. I'm born and raised here. I'm excited to see what happens when The Walking Dead comes to New York City.
Manhattan.
I mean, look, I can tell you about like when I was working at a restaurant in New York City, having my zombie survival theories and like how one survives in this. So I'm excited to see how the show matches up to the theories I've been working on for years and years and years.
Yeah, if someone showed up on the news, what I can do?
Oh, dude, what I mean, so like my restaurant, there was like metal gates, like, where you close at night. And I was just thinking like, oh, if we close those now, like the zombies couldn't get through. We have so much food in here. If we got a backup generator, like we'd be good for a while. And like, it's going to be interesting.
A big plan on that.
Oh, yeah.
So for the last question, I'd like to ask you about your career. What's your next step on your career? Tell us.
Dude, I love that question. It's one of these things where this show just came at a wild time in my life. I was very much about to quit acting when I got this job. I was working on 2 political campaigns here in New York and Queens, because basically just with the pandemic, I've been fortunate enough. I've worked a fair amount, especially with like commercials, things that pay my bills, but it's not why I became an actor. And auditioned for this show and didn't think twice about it, and then got the call that I booked it. And, I remember being down in Georgia and talking to my mom, who obviously, I talked to about my whole career, and her asking me like, is this closer to the thing you want to be doing? And me trying to be like, no, this is it. This is the thing. Like, if I could be doing jobs like this, stories that have arcs and characters, I wouldn't want anything else. So, knock on wood, I hope it keeps leading to more and more, fruitful jobs. I've been lucky enough. I've done, 1 episode of this TV show called Fantasy Island. It's on Fox in the United States. I don't know what that goes on in Brazil, but it's a super fun show. It's nothing like The Walking Dead. It's like, every episode is different characters, but it was a lot of fun. It will be episode 5 of the 2nd season, which starts on January 2nd. That was a lot of fun. I just did my first voiceover for a video game, which I'm a video game nerd. I love playing those things.
I love that too.
So I was a big old fan. This was for a World War II shooter game, which I'm also a history nerd. So this kind of just felt like perfect place. But the long and the short of it is you just don't know. I could keep auditioning and I never book another job. I could audition tomorrow and I'm playing, the next Spider-Man. All I can say is I'm feeling hopeful. I'm feeling confident. I've been lucky enough to keep booking work.
Yeah. I hope you can do it. I really
Thank you, man.
I really hope I can see you in another show, more of your acting skills.
No, that means the world. And maybe not always, a smarmy asshole kid, maybe some other things as well. But no, it's been such a pleasure to be part of this universe. And, such a large part of that has been getting to know the fans. So I, no matter where I go in my career, this will always be one of the most important things that I ever did.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So thank you. Thank you for this talk.
Thank you for
this opportunity. Thank you for give us your time. I know you're very busy in your day and everything. And that's it.
Of course. All right. Talk to you soon, brother.